Howdy folks, welcome back to Did You Pack Snacks? My name is Colin.
And I'm Meg.
And this is a family travel podcast where we chat all the highs, all the lows, and all the long miles in between of traveling with those little kids. Speaking of little kids, we have a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and it's great.
It's great. And today...
Right? Is it great? Is it great?
It's really great.
It's really great.
And today is kind of a fun episode, which maybe is more for just pure entertainment than actual travel tips.
Yeah.
But or maybe it's to help you become a better traveler, because we're talking all things pet peeves and travel icks.
The icks.
Things that just make us mad.
Right. What we call pet peeves, Gen Z calls it icks.
Yeah, so we're calling it both because we want to stay relevant.
And for all you boomers out there, it's spelled ICKS. Say it together. Icks.
That's what we're going to do. But before we get into that, I have something I have to say.
Okay.
This is commitment right now.
Oh, this is the most committed we've ever been to this podcast, y'all.
This is the most committed, which we'll get into it. But Colin just got back from being out of town. It's 9:00 at night on Tuesday. So if you're listening to this tomorrow morning when it drops in at 5 a.m. or whatever,
you just think
up,
back to 8 hours ago when we were recording this for you.
And I said, why don't we just skip a week? We can record tomorrow. But this week, we got a bunch, like a handful of the nicest people sending us messages saying that they're new listeners. They just found our show. They're listening from wherever. And like even people saying we definitely want to hang out and do something in 2025.
Yeah.
Like so much encouragement that when the thought crossed my mind, we've just had a long day. It's not going to happen. I was like, we're doing this for the people. Colin, dig deep. Let's get in.
Hey, I don't have to dig deep. You tell yourself that, Missy.
Yeah, I felt my eyelids getting a little heavy and I'm digging deep.
Well, it's always the worst when it's bedtime.
Yeah.
But then as soon as they go to bed, it's like, woo! The night is young.
I know, when their sound machine is on, I'm like, oh man, it's kind of hitting me.
I know. But now we're ready. And we're going to give you the icks. We're going to just rant. We're going to encourage you, discourage you, and maybe just, gain a little camaraderie with us. Okay, guys? But first, can we please give a shout out to the person that wrote us that sweet message?
Oh, yeah.
Look it up.
There are a few, and I just happen to have my laptop right here. Okay, so one was Carrie. Her handle is TravelHackFamVacay.
Ooh.
She said, new listener over here. Your podcast has brought so much joy to my week. I've been going back and listening to all of your old episodes, YouTube videos, and it's so nice to have another family in this space to learn from. Keep doing what you're doing.
And Carrie, we are doing what we are doing.
Okay, I have another one. This is from Tara Kate. We connected over just kind of sharing where she's traveling with her family, and she was just sharing that with me. I was excited for her. And then she said, I love listening to your show each week. Thanks for all the hard work putting it together. Don't worry, I've already left a 5-star review.
Ooh.
Thanks, Tara Kate.
Tara.
Another one. Okay, last one. We've got,
so many.
Is it? Okay, this one is from Carl. He said, hey, Colin and Meg, I'm reaching out to say that my family would definitely be on board for a 2025 trip with fellow podcast listeners.
Come on.
My wife and I have 2 sons. They're 7 and 2. I want to thank you for your hard work on producing great episodes for all of us.
Wow.
Thank you.
Man, see, it's these sweet families that just keep us going.
It's so true.
It fuels us, and it's for the mission of uniting moms and dads that love to travel.
Yeah.
And we're not traveling despite our kids. We're traveling with our kids.
Yeah. And we're having the best time.
I just came up with that. Did you hear that? That was a profound quote.
A profile quote?
Yeah, okay. A profound quote.
Oh, I thought you said like a profile quote, like something that we can put in our Instagram profile.
That too, because you are supposed to put profound things on there.
That's true.
But that's what the old people do. Kids don't do that anymore.
Yeah, kids
we
don't do
leave
that.
like vague stuff.
Yeah, emojis.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, we just uploaded a vlog. We haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
We just released part 1 of our month-long trip to Asia. And then this weekend, we got another one coming for you. We're hitting you back to back with the Hong Kong content. So yeah, just a quick thank you for that. But let's jump into some high-low buffaloes.
Okay, so we started this last week just in our weekly recap, just to make it fun. We're turning it up a notch.
Yeah, because we're those parents that when we get around the dinner table, we go, "What's your high-low buffalo?"
Yeah, it's something we've been doing with the girls. Okay, I'll go first.
Should we explain what buffalo is? No, let them catch on.
They'll catch on.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, listen to last week's episode, or if you're new here, you'll get it.
Brace yourself.
Okay, so my high of the week was Colin was gone. That's not the high.
It could be. It could be.
But he let some of our friends know that he was leaving. And so on Sunday, I get a text from our friend Zach, and he has kids the same age as our girls. And he was like, listen, I've got some errands. I'm taking my kids to these places. Let me come get your kids. I'll just take all 4 of them. And it was the best. I mean, just kind of navigating parenting. You know, I know that I'm really privileged that I have a partner to navigate parenting with, but when I'm doing it alone, it's just harder and I haven't been feeling my best. And so to get that text and have someone step in and help me that didn't have to, I just felt like, man, community is such a great thing.
Yeah.
So that was my high.
Okay, forget the 5-star reviews. If you want to come take our kids for a day, that's even better.
Yeah.
All right? Forget it. Don't subscribe. Just come get the kids.
Come take our kids.
What's your low?
Okay, so my low this week was I committed to watch this new show.
Let's say it.
I will. I like reality TV. I do. I don't always get into it. Whatever. I'm not going to give a disclaimer.
You don't have to
I
justify
am who I am.
yourself.
So I found this show called Farmer Needs a Wife.
Yeah.
And if you've never seen it, it's basically kind of the same concept as like The Bachelor, but I felt like it would be more wholesome.
Yeah.
And it's happened in different countries. I think they've had like 8 seasons in Australia. They've only had 1 in the US. Farmer Needs a Wife. And so I saw it on Netflix. I was like, oh, I'm going to give this a watch. Basically, it's young men that are farmers living in isolated farm towns, finding it really hard to date. And these women commit to like go live on their farm and see if they can handle the challenge of becoming the farm wife.
Yeah. Are these like farm girls or
no?
they're just...
So that's the thing. So this is why it's my low, is because I committed to this entire season. Like I kind of binged it while Colin was gone, like just like watching these episodes, thinking that this is a wholesome version. Like I'm going to fast forward. These people are going to raise children on these farms together.
They're going to raise goats and chickens and all that.
Well, if you're going to watch it, sorry, because this came out like last year. So I'm not giving anything away, but in the end, they don't end up together. Any of them. Like they end the show together, but then when I Googled, are they still together? Nobody is. You know why? Because the girls that applied are like, they lived in New York City.
Who is the casting director for this show?
Or Nashville.
I'm calling you out, casting director.
So when the farmer said, I love you, let's do this together, the update after the show stopped airing was these girls went, I think I like New York City.
They just wanted
I don't want to move to the middle of Mississippi.
They wanted a hot farm summer.
I guess. Yeah. So that part of the show, anyway, I felt like I got all the way to the end. I wanted a happy ending. It didn't give me the happy ending. And I thought, man, I just kind of wasted my time.
That's your low.
That was my low.
Okay. Any buffalo?
Yeah. So my buffalo is watching Charlotte persevere through some nerves. So she had an
Charlotte's our daughter, by the way.
Yeah, she's our oldest. She goes to a co-op a couple days a week, and they had to do an oral presentation on a bug. She and I picked cicadas because we happened to just acquire a cicada.
We acquired some, yeah.
A dead one. And so we did our project on cicadas. We worked on it together, memorized some facts. And then little girl was just so nervous to present in front of her class, feeling all kinds of anxiety. And I just hadn't seen that side of her because I think it must be peer related. Because in front of
peer-related, public speaking.
Yeah, maybe a combination. Anyway, she was so nervous.
Being 7 years old.
But then it was so fun to get the update from school that she had done it, that she was proud of herself, that she persevered. Like, as a mom, that was just a huge win. So
this sounds
that's
like
my
a
buffalo.
bigger high. This sounds like more of a high and not a buffalo.
Isn't a buffalo... Well, now I'm telling everyone. Isn't it just like whatever I want to say?
sort of just like something random that doesn't necessarily land in the high or low.
Well, I'm using Buffalo to do double highs.
It should. See, that's the Enneagram 7 right there, taking advantage. No, the Buffalo is supposed to just kind of land somewhere in the middle, leaving the other person in the conversation enough room to be intrigued and ask more questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
your turn.
I'll go through mine. And I forgot because we chatted about this before the podcast, and now I'm blanking.
I literally wrote it down. It's on the paper in front of you. When you were telling me.
Colin. Okay, today, my high was today.
Yeah.
A, I came back from Mississippi.
Yes.
B, I applied for a Southwest card because they had a companion pass deal that was out today. If you apply for this card, the annual fee is only, you can pick the lowest one, which was $69. So for $69, you use this card for the next 2-3 months, hit the minimum spend, which is like $4,000, which is easy for a family of 4. Mm-hmm. And then you get companion pass all the way through February of next year.
Which means you can have someone fly for free with you.
Yes, I can assign a person. They'll only pay taxes, and that's really $5.60 one way. So I'm talking like a $10 ticket to go anywhere, which would really help us travel the USA this year. And so I'm saving lots of money, and at the end of the day, it's a $69 annual fee. It's great. I'm happy.
What a high.
Yeah. And then my low was traveling to Mississippi, but not because of Mississippi. It was because traveling alone sucks. I don't know how you solo travelers out there do it. We probably will never do an episode on traveling solo. Maybe one day. Maybe when the kids are older and we actually want to do that. But like at this point, like whenever I'm by myself, I just lose all desire to like explore. Mm-hmm. You know, I just become like a creature of habit. I eat my food that I like, my comfort food, and I do my work. And
AKA Popeyes. Didn't you eat at Popeyes one day?
Hey, it was Megan. It was 10:50 at night. Popeyes closed at 11. I was hungry because I ate dinner at 5. Don't at me. But yeah, traveling alone, it's just not fun. And I just couldn't wait to come home. My Buffalo.
Okay, so this is apparently a proper Buffalo. Everyone lean in.
Proper Buffalo. I have a newfound admiration for tennis. Wow. And you know what? The other person will say, tell me more. Well, I've been watching Breakpoint on Netflix as I'm walking on my walking pad every other day. I try to hit 4 or 5 miles. But Breakpoint, y'all, it's on Netflix. If you need something to watch, if you need to cry, if you need to join in and go on like these stories with these professional tennis players of the world, I mean, it's funny, it's intense, it'll make you cry. It's got everything. Tennis, wow.
Oh, go ahead.
And I used to make fun of it because I'm like, I'm a pickleball person. And now even saying that is just kind of goofy. Because tennis is like, it's a gentleman's sport. You know? It's just prestigious. It's Wimbledon. You got Kate Middleton handing out trophies to you. It's like silence on the court. Like, it's got everything.
Yeah, well, not just for gentlemen, though. Because, like, Serena, there are, like, epic women.
Yeah, and there's an episode on Serena in the U.S. Open. I mean, it's got everything. Tennis. What a sport. What a sport.
Which the contrast, this tells you so much about Colin and I, because we don't watch these shows together. He almost always can be found watching a sports documentary, because before this one,
love sports
you
documentaries.
watched one on like surfers.
I watched one on...
You watched one on soccer.
Make or Break, Captains of the World, one on the U.S. women's national team.
And then while he's watching that in one room, I'm watching trash. Not interesting, but still somehow it keeps me intrigued.
Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Farmer Needs a Wife.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll do that one
Golden
again.
Bachelor.
Oh, yeah, I did like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we don't do Bachelors in Paradise.
No.
No.
All right, moving on.
Okay.
So we have a burning question this week. Let's get into some travel content.
Oh my gosh, we are rolling today.
We are rolling.
We haven't even gotten to the episode yet.
Nope.
Because we got another segment for
We
you.
got another segment for you. This is burning questions. These are questions that are sent in, and I'm not going to bring up my computer again because I just remembered the question.
Yeah.
But basically, someone reached out and they were saying, hey, we're interested in taking our kids on a spring break trip this year. Is it too late to plan for spring break? Absolutely not. They're interested in planning a spring break trip for this year, and they wanted to know our opinions on taking 2 kids. Their kids are a little bit younger than ours. I'm thinking like 1.5, 2, and like 4.
Oh.
So they're younger. And they were thinking about if they should go to Portugal or Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted our thoughts.
Have they already decided?
No.
Okay. So
Well,
what'd you
why
say?
would they ask? If they already knew what they wanted to do.
No, I didn't know if y'all had already chit-chatted.
Well, I gave her some answers.
You know the answer.
No.
Okay.
I gave her options,
Okay.
but I don't make the decision for them.
Yeah, you're right.
But I was just thinking, what would you say to someone who is deciding? Like, what's your hot take right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, given the kids' ages, I'm thinking they're packing a lot of extra stuff. Like, they're not traveling light. They're not doing the carry-on onlys. They're going to want to stick to, like, either road trips or be close to a city and do playgrounds and parks and ice cream and take pictures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's such different places. I won't speak on France. I'm not the expert.
Well, they just said
but they
Paris.
said Paris. Okay,
Yeah.
but the difference of a city versus a country.
Right.
And so when I think Paris, I think you get that cozy hotel in the right neighborhood, and you go eat at the cafes, you go eat your croissants, you go eat your desserts and your nice meals, your baguettes, you go picnic in the park, you go on the carousel, you enjoy your 12 euro Coke Zero. We've done that before and just laughed. And then you go kind of like look at the sights, right? Which is like fun. Like they're 1 and 4. Like you don't have to be. It's not an active like spring break.
No, and it's very bucket list.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those places that you're just going to look up there and take a picture, like a selfie in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And it's going, in my opinion, I think it'll meet their expectations. Like I think there's enough wow factor that city has to offer.
Yeah.
That it would meet their expectations to go.
And, I'm guessing they're walking around the city with a stroller or a carrier. Lots of eating, and then one of the days they can go to Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a fun week, because when I think about Portugal with a 1 and a 4, the only way that it's fun is if you have a rental car and you're just taking it easy on the Algarve.
Yeah, well, that's what I actually told her. I kind of said the same thing you did about Paris. You're not doing museums. You're doing like parks and treats and picnics and maybe like get on the hop on, hop off bus.
Yeah.
But then I said, Portugal, to me, the thing that would be fun with kids is, check out Lisbon for a day or two if you fly in there, but then drive down to the Algarve. And we were there in January, and it wasn't warm enough to like swim in the water, but it was definitely warm enough to sit on the beach.
To laze on the beach.
Like in like shorts and a tank top. Like it was warm enough not to swim but to hang. And so I was like, if you rented a car and you went down there and you just got to explore all these beautiful coastal beaches and charming towns, like it's more of they're just really different. But I was like, if you went, March is definitely warm enough to enjoy the beaches. So anyway.
It is, I would say, like a more intermediate, because you got to get to Lisbon. You don't drive in Lisbon.
You got to rent your car to leave.
Because parking is very bad.
Yeah, you don't want to drive in there.
And so you can Uber, and it'll cost like €1 or €2 literally to go anywhere in the city. It's so cheap.
Yeah.
You can ride the trams. You can eat your pastel. And then you can, but then going to the Algarve, it's like a 3-hour drive. Or you can fly into Faro. Or you can fly into Madeira or Azores, do a road trip there, but it's like, again, like it's a little more extra.
Yeah, you don't just show up to a
It's
city
not-
to get around.
Whereas
Yeah,
Paris is like, well, you might even have a fun layover in London.
maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought this question was just really cool though, because, you know, I think if you don't have anything planned for spring break, maybe you're thinking, oh, it's too late, better luck next year. But honestly, we don't have plans for spring break.
Bummer.
But I'm expecting that we will. So
Yeah.
it's
undecided.
It's just undecided, but I expect that we will make a plan. We will book a ticket. And so it was just fun for me to read that they were planning on going somewhere in the next couple weeks, because I do think, yes, there's something to be said about planning travel way ahead of time, but there's also a lot of fun to the element of like, no, let's go next month. Let's do this thing. Let's find a deal. So anyway, that was fun.
And kudos to you guys for having a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, like, and still wanting to travel and not just say, let's just chill and go to IKEA. You know, like, props to you guys.
Yeah, that's
Love
awesome.
it. These are the people that are listening to this podcast.
These
I'm so
are
happy.
the people.
What a high. All right, Meg, it's that time.
It's that time. Let's get into the ICKS,
Yeah.
aka pet peeves of
But
all
first-
things travel. First, we just need to like up our energy, you know, because it's like 9:30, and I just want to make sure that the
Did you
people.
feel a dip in your energy?
Well, I'm not naming any names, but
Okay.
maybe yours. And I just think that the people deserve us to be at our best.
Right.
And your mic keeps falling.
I know. My mic needs to just cooperate.
Oh, I think, yeah. Okay. So I just need a deep
Okay.
breath.
Yes. Let me position my chair. Let me get a sip
Why don't
from my
you-
Owala. Hydration. Check.
So I don't even know how many we have here. We just kept writing them down, but let's get into
The ICKS.
The ICKS. Okay, you had the first one, so you got to talk about it. I think it's a personal experience.
Yes. Very recently.
Today.
I call this SAS. Small Airport Syndrome. Y'all know this. If you go to Atlanta, JFK, Chicago, LA, they don't care. They generally don't care. They care about you just getting through the line, getting through TSA. Sure, take your shoes off. Some of them don't even require that because they got special machines now. And then you just go. They're just like, come on, let's get the line going. But you get to a small airport and what do?
Everything's different.
The scrutiny, the judgment, everything is brand new to them. So this morning, I got there. I had a 5:40 boarding call. Getting through security, it's literally 4:07. They checked every single compartment of my body. I was wearing a hoodie. They checked my hood. They checked everything. And I mean, I never, the screening thing never beeps on me. I pride myself in that. But no, they had to check everything. And then they went through my carry-on. And I was doing a lot of video work in Mississippi. And of course, they're like, oh my gosh, what is in this carry-on? We have to open it and rerun it. Of course we do. And so, yeah, small airport syndrome, it just icks me because they're like, there's not a lot of people coming through. We need some excitement.
Yeah.
So might as well.
Your carry-on provided lots of excitement.
So much entertainment at 4 a.m. You're welcome.
Okay, my first ick is when you're on a road trip and you're with other adults and you stop at a rest stop and it's a potty break. Kids, adults, whatever. And you have the person in the car that says, I don't gotta go. And they stay in the car. But then within the hour,
Yeah.
they need to go. That's an
Are
ick.
you describing yourself?
No. That's not me.
Because I don't pee on road trips.
That's not true.
I do, but I'm not like a peer.
What does that mean?
Like, I just go once or twice and like...
I'm just saying it's fine if you skip the opportunity to go and then don't actually have to go.
But then don't go.
But if you skip the opportunity to go because you're just feeling like I don't want to get out of the car, and then you need to you need
Yeah.
to stop.
But
That's
here's-
an ick for me.
I will stand up for this person because, you know, it's a lot of it is like vibe related. It depends on the gas station.
No, that's true. Actually, that's writing down. I
That's
think.
ick number 6.
Yeah, it's dirty gas station bathrooms.
Let's talk about that for a second
Yeah.
because America is a mixed bag.
I know, but I'm talking about a car that stops at a good bathroom. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about a car that stops
Like,
at an Exxon from 1960.
like a Shell.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like we're stopping
talking
at
at
Wawa.
Buc-ee's.
We're stopping at Buc-ee's.
Or like a visitor center. Those are the best.
they have the cleanest bathrooms at a
Yeah.
visitor center. So anyway, that's my ick.
Okay, the person that chooses
Says no,
not to capitalize.
But then makes you stop again, wasting time.
Wait, you know what it sounds like? Sounds like a 4-year-old. Way to go, Megan.
Well, no, I make our kids get out of the car every time.
Yeah, you're right. You do. My next one is this happens on a plane. This happens in a car, like on the train. I just don't like people that bring in like food. Like if you're bringing in food, it better be a chocolate croissant or a pastry. Don't bring your Chick-fil-A. I don't even if it's Chick-fil-A. If it's cooked, if it's savory, if it's a salad with onions, a sub, don't do it.
Oh, the Subway subs, they smell so
Any
stinky.
Sub, any sub. Do not bring it on the plane. I don't care how hungry you are. Get a Cliff Bar. Respect other people next to you. I actually have a story on this. I went camping with a group of buddies, and one day we were driving through like Oklahoma. My buddy decides to open up a can of tuna.
Ew.
And I got so mad. I want to just publicly apologize for this. I got so mad. I said his name. Can I say his name?
No.
Yeah, he listens to this podcast. He'll think it's funny. His name's Keller. We call him Kelly. I was like, Kelly, you're never going to get a girlfriend eating tuna on a bus. And I was so mad and I stomped off. And
Now he's happily married with really cute kids.
yeah.
Worked out for him.
And so, yeah. So I'm sorry, Kelly. But still, do not eat tuna in a van.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
You got to be considerate. I mean, I will say that when I'm just traveling with like you and the kids, I still bring beef jerky, even though it stinks.
But it doesn't smell.
Well,
I don't think so.
well, I'm just saying that would be considered a stinky food, but like you guys are not strangers, so you just have to endure some of the choices.
I love
Or
you,
when the
that's
girls
why.
get cheese popcorn, I
Well,
hate
we don't
it.
do that anymore.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's like occasionally, sure, but it's because we're family. But yeah,
Right.
you got to be considerate when you're in a room with strangers.
Yeah, be considerate. Don't be a ick.
Okay, next ick. Low cost airlines and their carry-on fees.
I had this experience recently too. Me and my buddy Tucker, we were flying Frontier Airlines. And like, you know, they advertise it's all butterflies. This is the cheap ticket. Go to wherever for $40 and you book the ticket. And then the day before, they're like, hey, if you bring your carry-on to check in with you, we'll charge you $40. But you have to like declare that you have a carry-on, like check in online before that. And so like they'll have these banners when you're standing at the gate and they're like, did you check your bag? And like a lot of people just don't. And then they get you.
And they get you.
You know, and they get you for everything. And this goes along with not just carry-on fees, but like I'm on Google Flights a lot. Whenever the numbers are green, I get really excited. And then when I hit it, it's just the base price for not even basic economy. Sometimes it's like light and I have to pay for carry-on and seat selection and all that. And it's just really discouraging.
Yeah, I would say the cheapest flights are rarely ever an actual deal.
No, whenever I see deals, I automatically add in my head $100 for all the other, to zhuzh it up. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of an ick for me.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
this one gets a little personal too.
Oh.
Scammy taxi drivers. So I can't remember the second experience. One experience, we were in Tasmania.
Yeah.
And we were going from the airport to the RV, like we had rented like a motorhome, and we were going, so it was like
Shout out to cruising.
it was like a less than 10-minute drive. And so we get in this guy's taxi and he starts like driving, and then after a minute or two he starts like hitting the
The
meter. And then he's like, oh, this thing doesn't work. So then we're driving and the meter's not going. And so I was like, well, can we stop until you can get the meter to work? And he was like, no, it'll happen in a second. So immediately I'm like,
Ooh.
ticked.
Your spidey senses.
I'm spicy. I'm just not up for it. So anyway, long story short, we finally get to the place and he charges us way more than the cost should have been.
We think.
We think
The way he said it.
it was just I couldn't trust him anymore because I
Yeah.
felt like it was all an act. And
We
so
have lost trust.
but at the end of the day, we just had to pay him. Like there was nothing else that we could do.
Yeah.
We put up a little bit of a fight. But anyway, that has scarred me. Then we were somewhere else. I don't remember where, but we got in the car and he just told you that there was a minimum drive fee. Remember, we were going to a hotel that we could see from the airport.
This was in Sydney.
This was in Sydney.
Twice in Australia.
And we were taking an Uber from the airport to a hotel that we could see in the distance. And he said something like the minimum fee for any drive was like $50 or something.
But we didn't know until we got in the car.
Until we got in the car and
Right.
he started driving.
Yeah.
And then he told us that. And I said, well, then stop the car.
And he said he couldn't because he had been waiting in line to pick up a passenger for an hour.
He would lose an hour's worth of work because he'd have to drop us off and go get back in line. So again, even though we were frustrated, he didn't let us out of the car, but it just rubs me the wrong way.
Right.
So that's why I really love using Uber, even when other countries have proper taxis set up.
Yeah.
Because I love that the price is agreed upon before the ride.
Right.
Like when there's that like ability, I don't know, it just scammy.
Uber or Grab, or like when we were in Bali recently, we actually got a hotel transfer with Klook. There was an actual like Klook center where you can pay online. I paid like $8 versus a couple days before we paid $35 to get to our hotel. Klook was only $8. Great customer service. I also want to kind of balance out the ick with like some good takeaways.
Well, yeah, that's a definite good takeaway.
In Hong Kong, like what a great city. They had a huge chart and it showed you what color taxi, what color part of Hong Kong you were going, and that's how much it would cost. And it was just like it was like a language almost.
Maybe like lesson learned was to have the pay transparency prior.
Yeah.
Like that I think makes a huge difference in my trust with taxi drivers because there are a lot of great ways to take a taxi.
Or I think the biggest lesson is just like don't jump in the car.
Yeah.
Until like you chatted it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see that their meter works.
Or you know what? Don't get on taxi.
Don't get in taxis.
Yeah. Skip the taxi. This is 2024. Skip the taxi. Rent a car. Even better. Go on a road trip. Next one. Riding a bus to board an airplane.
Do you think I wrote that down.
That's a bougie ick.
Well,
I don't have an ick about it.
Do you think that's like a budget airline thing? Like because your gate is like off in the middle of the parking lot?
Well, yeah, and the airline saves a lot of money for not renting a gate or a bridge, so they have. Like,
I think the reason that it's an ick for me is because I have some anxiety about, and this is the whole thing too. Like people forming lines gives me anxiety. Like I feel like I have to also be in the line, even though I don't.
Yeah.
So the reason that I don't like the bus thing is that anxiety happens just when you're boarding.
Well, explain this to people real quick. What riding a bus to? Because someone might not have ever done this before.
Well, yeah. So you basically you're boarding and that line's forming, and so you're like, oh, get all your stuff, get boarded. Mm-hmm. Then you go down the jet bridge, but you get off on the ground and you board a bus. And then the bus waits there until it's jam packed. Like you're packed in there like sardines. So it's like you just waited in line to board, but now you're on this bus. The line no longer exists.
No, all your hard work of getting in line at the right time
for nothing.
All your preparation is out the window.
It's out the window
because everyone just loaded the bus like a sardine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the bus drives you, I don't know, 5 minutes somewhere.
Yeah.
Away from the airport.
To the plane.
Well, yes, but like to
7-Eleven.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bus drives you, then you deboard the bus and you're boarding the plane from stairs on the ground and you're walking up. Kind of like it felt like it was in the movies all the time. You always like walked onto the ground. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but then the anxiety comes back.
Why?
Because people are like in a rush to get off the bus first.
Yeah.
Like they just need to get off the bus and get on the plane. Like it's just
a lot of loading and unloading.
Yeah, and a lot of people that feel like I'm racing and I don't know. It's like double the anxiety for me. And so anyway, I prefer not. But it always ends up happening because we always fly budget airlines.
Speaking of budget airlines, I kind of want to skip the next one real quick because the thing with low-cost airlines that just icks me
Okay.
Ugh, it just makes me so angry.
It's also our only option to travel, so it's funny that we have like so many icks. The icks are like
The main takeaway from this website is don't travel on a budget.
no, or just have an outlet to complain about it, but then still book the tickets because they're the right price and you want to travel.
Save this podcast on your phone and just listen to it while you're enraged in the line.
And then book your vacation for spring break.
Like, whatever, I'll just, but low-cost airlines, when you're in the airport, you're chilling, you're drinking your latte, you look up on the screen and it's like, final call. And you're like, what the heck? Like, boarding's not till like 45 more minutes. And you go and everyone's in line. They've already started checking it. And then you just stand in the jet bridge for like
the
30
entire
minutes.
plane of people stands in the jet bridge for 30 minutes.
And sometimes the plane's not even there yet.
Yeah.
And I do not know why they do that.
Well, I think it's because if you notice, the person that checked you in your tickets before security is the same employee that checks you in for your flight
at the gate.
Yeah. Then once you're in the jet bridge, they shut the door. And then I think that's the same person that does the pre-flight checklist.
Stuff. Yeah.
And so that's
okay, so
why.
It's a short staff problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which again leads to low cost airlines, which again leads to
you get what you're paying for.
You know what? And you might listen to this and go, guys, get over it. You bought the low cost ticket.
Well,
we did.
And the icks are just supposed to be funny. We're not really complaining because, like I said, we're still going to book the ticket.
Or are we?
Okay, so the next one happens way too often. And it's when you go to a hotel.
This happened to me this weekend.
It's when you go to a hotel and you walk in and it's just, it's like you maybe walk into the bathroom and there's like the stray hair on the shower.
There was one of mine on the potty.
Or you walk into the room and like it just, I can't even talk about it.
If the air is damp. Ooh.
Yeah, or like there's like a hair on the pillow.
Yeah, it's like one little thing can just kind of...
Yeah, it just... Yeah.
Can we talk about our nightmare hotel experience in Atlanta?
Oh my gosh. Colin booked.
I booked. Yeah, I don't want to name the name of the hotel chain because they could sponsor the next episode.
He's kidding.
But we went there and I had been to another brand, same brand, Spring Hill Suites. No, not Spring Hill Suites.
I don't remember what it was. But you had stayed at the same brand at a different city and you were like, it was great.
Right.
So you booked in Atlanta because we were staying there for a night for something.
Yeah.
And we get there and it's one of those situations because, Atlanta is a big city where you have to valet your car. And so the hotel that we enter into looks beautiful. And I'm like, great. But then I didn't see signs for where we were staying. And they're like, oh, you have to like go take the elevator downstairs and that's where your hotel is. And I thought
it was a twofer.
It was like 2 hotels in one building.
And then one was nice and the other wasn't.
So when we ended up in the basement checking in, I was like, oh no. Then we went up to our room.
No. This is the telltale. You go in the elevator
and it was warm.
And it was warm.
Like they weren't paying
Or
for
if you're walking to your room and it doesn't smell good, it's bad.
It's already bad. You should turn around. Anyway, when we opened that door, it was like the smell combined with the temperature combined with like visible dirt on like the desk.
Smudges, furniture wasn't working. I mean, just nightmare.
Yeah.
So that's a big travel
we had to check out. That's a big travel ick. Okay. Next one. This is maybe we sound like snobs.
But this is the whole point of the episode.
I know, but I would say people.
Yeah.
That travel and commonly say things like, I don't do that because it's too touristy. That's a big ick for me. Because traveling is being a tourist.
Because you are a tourist.
You are a tourist.
Yeah.
And yes, I know there's a different experience that happens like when you visit a place for a long time and you can find some of that local rhythm, going to grocery stores, going to like the same cafe in the morning. That's a different kind of travel.
Yeah.
But when I'm visiting a place, a country, or a city for the first time, all the things that make it touristy, that make it on those top 10 things to do when you visit blank.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I want to do.
Like if you are going to Chicago with our daughters and they've never been, you will take a picture with the bean.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I mean, we went to Bali. Yes. We went to Bali and we paid for a floating breakfast to eat with our kids in a pool.
Just to laugh and say we did that before.
We did it. Like, it's just one, like, I think that all of those things, I mean, sure, there are some that maybe we pass on.
I mean, I don't do the murals and the...
Yeah, we don't really take pictures in certain places
Or the
necessarily.
I Heart New York... I mean, that's a whole nother level.
Sure. But I just think the attitude of like, if you're talking about a recent trip or you're planning a trip and somebody makes the comment, oh, we went there and didn't do that, it was so touristy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't
What's a better way of like phrasing that?
Well, I just think, I
Because-
don't know. I honestly wouldn't. I would just say, oh, you should totally do that. And something that we did that you should add to your itinerary is we ate at this restaurant. Like, just let people have their fun.
Yeah.
Like, I would never discourage someone from wanting to check off.
Right. It's
something like
touristy
that.
for a reason. You can say that this thing really feels touristy,
Yeah.
but don't be a like snob about it.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it is true that some of the touristy things are like overcrowded.
Yeah.
And so your experience there is probably not going to be what you saw on Instagram.
Like I didn't have fun in Rome. Like we walked up to the Trevi Fountain and I was like, there's no magic here because there's a billion people.
So many people.
Right.
But I would never tell someone not to go.
Right. You still want to go see it.
You still want to see it.
Yeah.
You still
I
want
would
to
go
see
see
it.
it at 6 a.m. maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. And we've done a lot.
We're almost done. You share one more, and then I'm going to share my biggest ick ever.
Okay. I'm gonna say mine is rental car insurance.
Okay,
I just
why?
hate it because it just gives me the most anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I, as the budget planner, as the trip planner, I pay for my rental car, and then I get to the place, and they're like, "Okay, you paid for the base fee, but then when you're in the country, you have to pay for the insurance, like all that stuff you can't book on your travel portals, or you can't book on the website. Like for example, if you go to hertz.com and book a car in Costa Rica, you're paying for the base fee. Hertz keeps that, but then when you go to the actual center, they have to also make a profit, and so they sell you then the insurance, the car seats, the incidentals, all that kind of stuff. That's how they make their money. And it just always, when it happens, I know it's gonna happen, but it always throws me off guard. And then on top of that, you're in a brand new country, you just landed, you are little nervous Nelly, and they throw out a number that's how much the incidental is, that's how much the hold is on your credit card, and it just scares you, it intimidates you, and I end up always saying yes, even though that a lot of the credit cards that I use have primary collision protection insurance. It doesn't cover my injuries or any other passengers on board, and so maybe that's why I do the insurance, and it always costs a lot more money, and it's not what I budgeted for. So it's a big ick for me. If you're the finance person in your household, I know you feel me on this. It just sucks. I don't know what to do. We budget more, get a premium credit card. I don't know. But I think I just need some support. Because Megan right here, Megan, she's not giving me anything. She's worried about 10 million other things.
That sounds hard.
And that's your job.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, it's your job. You worry about all the little things that what are the kids going to wear? What are they going to eat? What if they get sick? That's all you.
Yeah.
And, I just get to ick about this.
Yeah.
And since we are the host of this podcast, we get to ick. And you just have to listen.
I know. Now I'm like, was this even a good episode? But we're too far in to turn around now.
Sorry, you just heard me ick.
Okay.
All right, Megan.
Okay,
knock
last
us out.
one.
Yeah.
My absolute least favorite thing that happens when traveling anywhere and everywhere. And when it happens, it ruins my day. When somebody around me in a small space, like a plane or a train or a bus, is like actively sick and being inconsiderate about it. Because, I get that sometimes life happens and you have to get on the flight.
Yeah.
But when you're being inconsiderate, one, I'm like, try to change your flight. Because when you're doing the coughing, sneezing, and you have a fever, like, that's hard. But it's also hard for everyone around you. And just like the feeling that I get when somebody is constantly coughing and sneezing. Like, I'm not talking about kids. Kids get coughs and they last for years. They never go away.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about kids with snot or coughs. I feel like that's
that's another ick for me.
No, you can't help it.
I mean, I can't help it, but it's still icky.
Okay, but I don't get mad. I'm like, if a kid's sick, like I said,
I have a little bit more compassion.
Our kids are always sick.
But if you're a grown up, get a dang mask or a nasal spray.
Right. Just like if you can't change your flight, just like wear a mask or I don't know, do something.
Get some hot tea, clear that congestion.
So that the people around you don't feel like they're like trapped in a tin of germs.
I mean, I'll tell you what, this morning, same airport that I was in this morning. Again, this was 4:30 a.m. This sweet couple came up to the gate. They took their seats. She starts hacking.
Yeah.
And then everyone's eyes looked up.
Yeah.
But then both husband and wife already had masks, and she was pulling out the mask as she was coughing, and they both wore it. And it was like,
everyone was at ease, right?
I was at ease.
Well, it's because you can't help if it happens.
I went back to watching Survivor.
Yeah, but if somebody's being considerate about it, I just feel like it lessens the stress. Anyway.
And we learned this by traveling to like Asian countries where they've been doing this
forever. Where if you have any symptoms of sickness, you wear a mask. It's an act of like consideration.
Yeah.
And yeah, Asia's been doing that for I don't know how long.
Since the Tang Dynasty.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want that to stick around on this side of the globe because I do think that definitely can make or break a travel day when the person next to you is just...
I think as humans, we need to just, keep becoming better.
Yeah, just be considerate.
And speaking of considerate, we got to let these people go.
We have to let you go. And you know what? This is the little positive note on our long list of icks. Mm-hmm. That most of the time, things are great.
And you know what? None of these icks will stop me from traveling. Never.
These are just things that it's just fun to complain.
It's just fun to ick about it.
It's just fun to ick about it. But now, you go have a great day.
And you know what? I'm about to edit this podcast and have it just for you, 5 a.m. All you early birds out there.
We're really thankful for you. And circle back next week for another episode
of We Got the Icks / Did You Pack Snacks. Bye, folks.
Bye.